He's very cute. He's a murderer. Hello, welcome to Sounding Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Wolfworm by T. Kingfisher. This is a historical fiction horror. It's from Tor Nightfire and is coming out March 24th, 2026. I received this audiobook arc from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review. An expectedly enjoyable book with a fun mystery and great characters. Wolfworm is typical T. Kingfisher, so if you like her stuff, you will enjoy this. What is it about? The year is 1899, and Sonia Wilson is a scientific illustrator without work prospects or hope. When the reclusive Dr. Halder offers her a position illustrating his vast collection of insects, Sonia jumps at the chance to move to his North Carolina manor house and put her talents to use. But soon enough she finds that there are darker things at work than the Carolina woods. What happened to her predecessor, Halder's wife? Why are animals acting so strangely? And what is behind the peculiar local who whispers about blood thieves? First off, the narrator did an excellent job with this book. Her cadence is very easy to listen to, and her voices for the characters were fun, particularly that of Phelps. I really liked listening to her. I would listen to another audiobook by her. In fact, I kind of recognize her voice, so maybe I've listened to another book by her. I don't know. I should probably check that out. Anyway, so this is one of those books that I wholly enjoyed, found excuses to listen to the audiobook for, and yet I was not obsessed with it. Everything about it is solid. Sympathetic main character, engaging pacing, a secluded house in the countryside, interesting side characters, and a growing mystery. It has horror elements, but it's not really scary unless you really don't like bugs. There was like a fast Larry, or a centipede or whatever, on my ceiling the other day, and yes, I tried to vacuum it up and I screamed when it fell on the floor, but I'm still like not that squeamish about bugs, unless it's spiders. Now, that's not to say that this book isn't suspenseful and exciting, but I'd call it more like a light horror than like a full-on horror. If you've read The Hollow Places, for example, there's no Martin Sturtevant in this book, which is what I plan on calling my next pet if my partner will agree. The lack of brutal horror is fine though, because part of the fun of this book is that it's not super disturbing. It's above all else, it's fun, I guess you could say. Like, there are parts to it that are obviously not happy, and parts to it that are tense and like suspenseful, and some parts that are gross. Like, there's some body horror in it, but I don't know. I would say this book is fun above all else. The book's greatest strength is actually being a historical fiction. Sonia, the main character, is a watercolor illustrator who needs a job, as you heard in the blurb. She wants to be a naturalist, which at the time was like a scientist focused on the natural world. But of course, because she's a woman, she has to only be like the helper of a man in that field. You deeply understand her situation, and it felt well researched to me. In truth, I didn't even need the horror in this book. This could have been a domestic fiction of just like Sonia adapting to her life in the countryside, and I would have totally enjoyed it. Now, some people might think that the book takes a while to get going, which I guess would be a fine like assessment to make, but I was perfectly content watching her just like milling around, painting bugs, talking to the locals. Like, I don't know. I found this book kind of cozy in a way that is surprising for a book that's supposed to be horrific. I guess the one thing that I wasn't super into in the book was the twist was something I was kind of like, oh, about. It's nothing new, but the approach and the end result of that thing did take a different route than usual, and the fact it came so late in the story also helped with that as well. It's not exactly a surprise, but it also doesn't feel too obvious. Like, it's obviously leading in that direction, and in fact, I didn't read the whole blurb going in, and I had deliberately left off part of the blurb when I read it here, the part that actually would have kind of made this an inevitability. And I think that having that on there actually does a disservice to the story, because I think if I'd known going in this twist, it wouldn't have been as compelling, because it would have been like, oh, okay, this is just a typical story about that, versus it kind of coming up as a revelation. Anyway, that's just my opinion on book blurbs. I guess moving on to a couple other things, I really liked the side characters. There's a husband and wife team that are really funny. They provide some kind of comic relief. Halder is a jerk, but he's kind of a funny old man up until a point. And then you have this other character that I think we're supposed to find really creepy, but to clarify, while I didn't like them as a person, they felt like a real person, though, driven to bigotry by, the rigidity of their religion. I really wanted to see a redemption arc on their part. I guess I didn't like them, but I found them just such an engaging character. I can't really say much else about the book, I guess, without spoilers. If you like T. Kingfisher, you know what you're getting into. If you don't, this is a fun, engaging historical fiction with horror elements that has what seems like ace representation, which is nice. It touches on social politics in a way that feels organic, and it has lots and lots of bugs. So, and some animals die, but not like, it's like a possum, which is, my dog killed a possum one time. So my partner went outside. He heard barking down the street at like 4 a.m. because he's in construction. So he got up and he was like, "What the heck is that? Our dog?" And he was down the road, like absolutely destroying a possum. And my husband was like, "What do I do with the body?" So he just left it. And then he texted me and he's like, "Go and see if it's still there." I'm like, "No, it's gone. The city must have come and taken it already." I'm like, "Oh." My dog kills lots of things. Yeah. So, thanks for checking out this review and listening to me talk about my dog. Here's his picture. He's very cute. He's a murderer.